Welcome to another episode of the Slide Through podcast. We thank y'all for tuning in. This is another beautiful Tuesday. This is episode 201. So,
201.
so now we're in the journey of the 200s.
Going for 300.
Yeah, now we're on the road for 300. That's right, man. So that's the next one. That's the next goal. So 100 weeks, we'll see you.
Yeah. Oh, that's real, huh? I'm like, damn, that's a lot, but that's real.
Yeah. 100 weeks. Yeah, we'll see you in 100 weeks. So yeah, man. First and foremost, let's introduce our partnerships. Shout out to Definitely Eden. I'm rocking the T-shirt right now. You know what I mean? They got that shit available on the website. Go tune into definitelyeden.com. They got T-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, stickers, all kinds of good stuff. So tune into that one. Also, shout out to Monterey Bay Creations. You dream it, they create it. For all stitching, vinyl,
sure, screen printing, everything. Whatever you need to get done, I'll find a way to make it happen for you.
Yeah. You're running a business. You're trying to, you know what I mean, create some merchandise, whatever it may be. Hit them up. Also, shout out to Conglomerate by the Sea. You can check them out on conglomeratebythesea.com. That's where you get the latest episode of the Slide Through podcast, and they also got some dope merchandise. And they also got the Tooth Gyms in there as well. Shout out to the Tooth Gyms. If you're trying to bling out your teeth, they got you. They got all kinds of dope logos, from car logos, football team logos, horoscopes, whatever you're into. I'm sure they could find something for you. Also, shout out to Fish House located in Watsonville. If you're ever out there in the area, check them out. Get yourself some really good seafood. Also, Fit and Fresh Meals. For on your meal prep journey, you're trying to get back in shape. You know what I mean? It's almost fall. Trying to get in shape for the December. Trying to, lose a couple pounds before getting it back on Thanksgiving. So that's the plan. You know what I mean?
That's definitely a plan.
That's always a plan. That's always a plan.
Everyone, like not for summer, lose weight for December.
For reals. Everyone just starts cardio, nothing but cardio in the beginning of November. So by the end of it, you could get that back. So yeah, we have a guest today. It was a pretty cool guest. I don't think we had a guest like this. It was pretty exciting.
It's exciting, yeah.
We have a politician, Alexis. How you doing, sir?
Good. Pleasure to be here. How are you guys?
Doing
good, man.
Nice space you guys got here.
Thank you, man.
We appreciate you coming by, man.
Of course. No, thank you for the invite. I think for me it's important to be out in the community and to be real and to talk candidly with everybody. So thank you. Thank you for considering me a guest.
Yep. Of course.
So for the people who might not know who Alexis is, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Well, who's Alexis? I've been in service for 2 years, got elected in 2020. I'm currently the only Latino on the council and the first young Latino to be elected, and the only Latino with origins from Oaxaca, representing the whole Monterey County. So for
representing the O.
Yeah, man, that's really dope because we have a couple times here we've tried to talk about brown excellence. We talked about the Mexican woman that just landed on the moon. So we're just trying to find out more stories like that, and it's really dope that we have one on the right here in our hometown. Yeah, for sure. Oh, they're asking you to speak close to the mic whenever you can.
My bad. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah. You gotta make sure hear the wisdom. But yeah, I think it's really dope that you represent the city, and also you represent us, really. So
of course,
thank you.
I think it's been a challenge for sure. These past 2 years, I got into service right when COVID hit, so it was how do you navigate that? How do you make sure that you're putting out the message adequately into the community? And it was tough, right? Because I didn't have political experience. I was a former news reporter, news journalist. So for me to come into the scene as a politician or public servant now, it was a challenge. No one really knew what was going on with COVID. Things were closing down. Businesses were hurting. They were on the brink of closing down. So I knew my priority right then and there was to support small businesses, to make sure that our community members had the most adequate information, up-to-date information. And the mayor appointed me to be part of the Vaccine Action Task Force. Having no medical experience, I immersed myself right in with the fire department and our wonderful firefighters that were paramedics vaccinating people. And we came up with a solid task force that ended up getting vaccinated, I think 78% of the population of Seaside, which is a pretty good percentage considering other cities. Yeah. And thanks to that effort that we did, it was nights of not sleeping, trying to figure out how we were going to get our communities. We launched our campaign in 3 languages, the top 3 most spoken languages, Spanish, English, and Tagalog. in Seaside,
Chicalo.
and we ended up having the governor come and visit us, which was pretty, I think, sick for him to come out here and get to meet him as a public servant and not as a journalist, but to see how much of a good effort we're doing in our communities and how much we're pushing into the hard to hit communities. So it's a challenge, but now things are dying down a little bit, and we have events here coming up, but I enjoy it. I enjoy every single moment of it. Do I get sleep? Hell no, but you make it work, right?
So
You
team
make
no
it work.
sleep.
Hence the coffee right there. You know?
The coffee that I'm drinking. Just right now, I was walking in on a phone call trying to figure out that things were settled for an upcoming event that's coming on Sunday. It's just a nonstop. It's a nonstop, but I think as long as you have your family centered, as long as you're a family-oriented person, you balance out your time, you're good. You know, at the end of the day, I always say no one's a real person unless they're focused and centered around their family and dedicate time for family. So that's what keeps me grounded, and that's what keeps me going all the time.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
Great
good.
answer, yeah. I was about to ask you, how do you not go ahead and take all these stresses home? Because obviously they come. You just said you just walk in a phone call. You're never away from it. So
Yeah.
how do you just kind of like relax and not take it home with you?
You know, I always try to keep my weekends to myself.
Okay.
I dedicate my Sundays to my family.
Right.
So Sunday is just family time, 100%. And I have a younger brother too, so I always want to make sure that I'm a brother before I'm a politician to anyone else, and a son before I'm a politician, because you know we commit flaws. We all have flaws as human beings. We don't know how to navigate life. We're learning it. Being the youngest one on the council, you have a lot more pressure, more eyes on you, 100% all the time. So I always make a pact that, you know, breathe like at least 30 seconds or a minute before opening that door and just saying, all right, you're going to home, because one thing I don't want to do is, you know, go one-on-one against my mom or my dad. They'll humble me real quick, you know. Mexican
Hijo de la
parents are.
chingada.
Yeah, for sure.
My mom always says, you leave that shit at home, you know. Once you come out past that door, that's my door.
Right.
And
There you go.
you're just Alexis to me, and I always like that. Because it reminds me, I ain't no one here
Yeah.
but your son. So,
Right.
and also just meditating and taking time to yourself, turning off your phone, and just reading a book, drinking some tea. I know it sounds cliche or old, probably like old people do it, but it's
No,
it's something
Larry
that you
June
need to
No,
does
do.
yeah,
it.
because as we get older, we start to think, oh, this is why old people kind of do this stuff. This is why they just sit in, like in a cafe by themselves and just finally, like, you know what I mean, get some time to just, you know what I mean, observe and just absorb, you know what I mean?
You just need peace 100%.
yeah,
you
absorb
know?
some peace.
Sitting outside with my dog, my cat, whatever it may be, just drinking my cup of coffee and just blocking everything. That makes a key. And also staying away from social media.
Yeah.
Because that thing will drive you through.
Yeah, you can always find something to be mad about once you start scrolling through social media
sure.
long enough.
You'll find comments, DMs with people just like saying, hey, we're going to send you to rocket ship in Mars if you don't fix the climate change problem. Well, how is that my problem? You know?
Right.
I can't fix that, but you just take it with, I always say you have to have thick skin or skin like butter. Just let it slide off.
Yeah.
That's a new one. Yeah, I haven't heard that one
Just
before.
always go forward. And it's funny that you say that. One of my best friends who was on TV, she told me that. She told me that saying, and it always stayed with me. It was my first interview that I did, and I was like, damn, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, people just feel comfortable with having a finger to point out at somebody, you know? Just like whoever the president is, it doesn't matter who the president is. If something's wrong, boom, president, finger at
Just
president.
angry, you know.
Yeah, just as angry. There's always going to be someone and it's like, oh, man, that president was wrong. This president's wrong. The one before that one was wrong. Everybody is just wrong, you know?
And I get it, right? Part of you as a public servant, you get it. People have frustrations. People are losing their homes. People are without a job sometimes. People have to work 2 jobs to make sure that they can afford rent and where we live. So I get it. There's that frustration.
Yeah.
But you just have to navigate it and keep your head up high and say, I'm going to do the best I can to make sure that I'm helping these people out, helping the community out, and putting the community first. But things aren't solved overnight, and that's what I want people to understand. I just can't go into City Hall and say, we're going to change this. There's 4 other people that I have to have a vote on, that have to have my support. And if I don't have that support, it's not on me anymore.
Yeah.
You gotta have that concrete evidence and
Concrete evidence, come prepared.
backup, all that. Yeah.
One number, to have your staff prepare you, make phone calls, make sure you're well prepared for anything. But at the same time, it's also important why people should come out and vote, right? Because these are your representatives, and you have the decision to make sure that vote for people that have the same values as you. And if you don't, well, these are the consequences.
Yeah.
There's only one, and there's 4 other people. Thankfully, the council right now the best council that we've had in a while. And we get along, so we managed to pass a lot of things forward, minimal things, right? Like street repairs, infrastructure repairs, more youth programs, park cleanups, things of that sort that daily people can use. We kept small businesses open during COVID. We prevented a lot of small businesses from closing. We ended up doing a business tour, which we were talking to small businesses and figuring out. Councilmember Pacheco and I ended up putting forward a plan that gave up to $7,500 for any upgrades that you wanted to do for your business free of charge. We would match the funds, and we would give you the rebate too. So things like that people don't notice, that go behind the scenes, but they make a difference. Those lights on Broadway, we did that. Just minimal things that we're trying to make sure that we're attracting more people downtown, that we're stirring up the economy, and more money for the city means more street repairs, more signs repairs, all those types of things. So it's a lot that goes into it.
No, yeah. That's a conversation we have a lot about Broadway. Is just like us growing up in Seaside, seeing what it was several years back and what it is now, and the potential that I see in the future for it. It's astronomical. I mean, it's crazy. You know what I mean? It looks great.
Thank you. No, 100%. And, we had Exotics on Broadway come back this year, which I think was a huge successful event.
It really was.
They outdid themselves. Did you guys go?
Yeah.
I was out of town, so I couldn't.
Yeah.
It was a pretty sick event. I'll give you that.
I was there for the first one.
The first one.
But
this one was twice as bigger. They had buses coming in. They had a whole plan set out. And it wasn't going to come back. But we all got together and we said, let's move it. It passed 3-2, I think. So it was a razor-thin vote. It passed to get back to Broadway. And these are types of things that stir up the economy. We went back, talked to the businesses, and they're like, please bring this back every year. The businesses didn't even have people to cater to the customers, so it was a good event for sure.
That's what happened the first year. They had an experience where they went to Buffalo Wild Wings and the manager quit, and it was just like chaos because he wasn't prepared to all the people that showed up.
It was a lot of traffic. A lot of people weren't prepared. I mean,
that too.
I think I'm pretty sure it went way better this year just because of the fact that people are more prepared. It was definitely.
I mean, I showed up there a little late, but I mean, the first year I remember like the cars that were supposed to be in the event didn't even know how the heck to get in there. People were trying to avoid the traffic, was just getting jammed right there on the intersection where Starbucks is at. It was just chaos.
Yeah, it's too many people. That's
too many people. Yeah. I mean, it was dope to see something like that in Seaside the first time it was because it's never been seen right there before.
And I love that it's back. And I love that it's back. If it wasn't gonna be in Seaside, was it gonna go back towards like Cannery Row or what was the?
We were thinking about moving it back because one of the original locations that they wanted to bring it forward, and this is all public information, it was gonna be up in General Jim Moore.
Oh wow!
They were gonna put it all the way up there, but we talked about it, we deliberated, and one, security concerns, something happens, how do people get out, what's going to be the point of location for reunification, how long will it take police to get up there, will it be closed, all that was a huge concern for us, and it was going to be the same, it was the same day as the Concorso Italiano in Bayonet Black Horse, so it was just going to be major congestion up there, so we were like, let's bring it down to Broadway, and some people didn't like it, but like I said, it passed by a 3-5 vote. 3-2 vote.
The people loved it. The people definitely loved that.
That's dope, man. So you say you started off as a news reporter?
Yeah.
What got you into wanting to do the news?
It's funny because I had originally got into college or graduated high school with the intention of getting into medicine. My parents wanted me to be a neurosurgeon, which
damn,
I was like,
that's pretty intense.
Pretty intense, you have to have
you gotta have an open mind for that, huh?
And I knew I didn't want to do that, and I've always liked talking to people. I always liked asking questions, and I love the cameras on me all the time. I think that's always something I did know. So while I enrolled in college, I had already been messaging the news station Univision during, I think it was like 2 months before I graduated, and I was like, hey, I'm about to graduate college. Well, can I do an internship here? But behind my parents' back, right? Because they were paying my college tuition. So I was like, I gotta just continue moving forward. Let's see what happens. I was doing the internship for a whole year without them noticing.
Wow.
Until I told them, I kind of just rubbed it into my parents. I was like, so what would you guys do if I was a news reporter? Mom was like, the fuck you mean? You ain't gonna be no news reporter. You're gonna be a doctor.
So we've been paying for your school.
So I already knew. I was like, I'm bad at math. I'm bad at biology, at medicine. I just can't do this. So I said, all right, so they're not going to pay for my school anymore. I'm going to look at scholarships and figure out what I can do. Landed 2 jobs. I would work from 5 in the morning to noon at the Quail Lodge as a breakfast attendant, and then I would go to school from 1 to 4, and would do my second job at the Portola Hotel.
Yeah, it's
From
down the
5
street.
to 10. So I only had a
Man.
couple hours to figure out. And I was doing the internship one on Friday nights, and I had the night shift. So I would get out like around 2 or 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
So it was tough trying to figure out what to do. But I got my scholarship, saved up some money, and I finally told my parents, I was like, hey, I'm going to be a news reporter. Well, good luck finding a job. Don't worry, I already got one. Well, good luck getting.
Good luck trying to find people. Good luck.
They keep trying to
good
one
luck
up you.
driving
Like, all right,
there.
Good luck with this, all right? You're gonna find this problem. I'm like, no, like
And they're like, well, we're not going to pay school. Don't worry, I got scholarship that paid it everything, so I'm good. And I ended up being in news. I remember when I first started, I didn't speak anything of Spanish.
Well,
I didn't
Really?
speak Spanish.
you didn't grow up speaking Spanish.
No, my
or-
parents always wanted me to speak English at home
What?
because they wanted to learn.
Oh.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny because I grew up with my parents saying, "You speak to me in Spanish at home. Don't come to me with that school English
Really?
stuff." Yeah.
Yeah, for reals, like my mom would be like, "Yo, as soon as you step in this door, it's Mexico."
No, my parents were the exact same. They were opposite. They always they wanted to learn English, right? They wanted
Yeah.
to
Okay.
assimilate themselves and get the knowledge. And I don't blame them. But it ended up hurting me later on because I didn't know Spanish. But I really wanted to represent my community, and I said Spanish news is what I'm doing. I'm not doing English. And my news director, she said, "All right, well, your Spanish sucks. I'm gonna be frank with you. I'm gonna be honest with you. Right? Spanish sucks. But here's a dictionary. You have 2 months. Learn, listen to as much music as you can in Spanish. Watch TV shows. Try to immerse yourself in the culture."
Yeah.
In 2 months, my Spanish was pretty good. It was picking up, but my writing still sucked. So I remember, I think it was around December or something, that I ended up going to Mexico. And I said, "Hey, I can still work from you and do stories for you from Mexico." She's like, "It'll do you good. Go for it." Came back from Mexico, was learning how to write, speak better. And then fast forward to 6 months later, one of my friends went to Colombia. So we were in Colombia for almost a
Whole
month.
different ball game of
Whole
Spanish.
different ballgame in Spanish. I was like, I know Spanish already. I know how to navigate this and get there. I was like, I don't know shit.
Whoa, what do you say to me?
¿Qué dijo?
Yeah.
Like, ¿Cómo se dice?
So a month in Colombia, a month in Mexico poised me to be a better fluent Spanish speaker. And when I came back, I got the 6 p.m. gigs, co-host,
Nice.
co-producer, and then the 11 o'clock fill-in reporter. So I managed to make it through, and
That's tight.
and I loved every single bit of it because we got to cover 2016 elections.
Yeah.
So we got to interview Hillary, we got to interview Bernie Sanders,
Nice.
we got to interview Gavin Newsom when he ran for governor. So things of that sort of started making me want to run for office. And as a news reporter, you can't have a bias.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but
You
journalism
can't.
ethics.
Yeah, you can't. You can't show it.
It's
Yeah.
unethical. Yeah.
It's unethical. And I stay true to that. I always love news. Whatever happens, I'll go back to news. 'Cause
Right.
That's what I know the best. So I said, well, let's figure out what's next. What's next for me? So I ended up applying for an internship program at CSUMB, and it was the Panetta Institute for Public Policy. And Leon Panetta, who was a former Secretary of Defense and the former Chief of Staff for Bill Clinton, owns that institute.
Oh, okay.
And he's local. He's Jimmy Panetta's dad. So I ended up getting the scholarship and representing CSUMB. I was living in Washington, D.C. for a couple months, came back, and I said, all right, now's the time to run for office. And that's what we did. That's how the political career started. That's how
Okay.
I started getting
Wow.
more involved.
So you took the internship while you were in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I did the internship, and
Okay.
I was getting paid. I was getting
Okay.
paid, and I was getting
Paying
college
attention,
credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had already changed my major. I was doing journalism, and I was doing a second major in legal studies.
Okay.
So it covered my legal studies credits because I was already working on Capitol Hill in Washington D.C. And it was sick, right? 'Cause
Yeah. Yeah. How was it? How was it like in D.C.? Your experience in
It
D.C.
was just sick. You come from nothing. You're raised on
Right.
limited resources, and then to be walking the halls of Congress or be walking the White House to delivering some papers, and it was weird because it was that transition between President Obama to Trump. So no one knew what the fuck we were doing. It was just
Yeah.
like we were going day by day. I was here during Hurricane.
Hell of a time.
We were
I
going-
remember. Yeah.
Let's stay off Twitter, man.
we were
Twitter
going-
was popping, bro. Twitter was like the best it's
The
been.
stocks went up.
Something was popping every day. That was like the show.
We'd be in the office and Donald Trump would be tweeting something like, "Damn, what the hell did you say now?"
Isn't that crazy though? How like back then, like they weren't allowed to tweet, but then like everyone knew how popular Trump's rants were. They're like, yeah, like oh, since it's good for business or whatever, like good for their agenda, let's let Trump keep tweeting. Like, how'd you feel about that? Like,
I think,
how like before in the past they weren't really allowed to say anything. Obama had to give up his BlackBerry.
yeah.
And then now, you know what I mean?
I think whatever anyone may think about the guy was smart in that aspect.
Yeah.
He knew how to attract people to listen to him, and he always created controversy. He's smart in that aspect because after that,
Businessman.
a lot of politicians ended up using Twitter. That was the main source of communication with the people. Main source of communication on doing what you're doing. Instant news, you know. No one was watching CNN anymore, MSNBC, Fox News.
They're
watching
refreshing.
Twitter.
Yeah, they're
Refreshing Twitter.
refreshing.
That's how you get your instant news, you know. And after that, I think after Donald Trump's presidency, it revolutionized how people get their information. Now, like for example, I'm sure that when Queen Elizabeth died, y'all went on Twitter real quick and figured out if it was true.
Right.
So,
Yeah. That's what a lot of people
yeah.
go to. They go to the trending side.
page.
They're scrolling up. They see a few pictures and they be like, "Yep, it's confirmed." I've seen a few pictures. I've seen a couple hashtags. It's
Yeah.
confirmed.
So you don't need to go to a news source anymore. You just
Yeah.
go to Twitter and
You ain't gotta
That's
go
crazy.
see the fucking. You ain't gotta see the facts in the papers. You know.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
which can be dangerous too
Yeah.
because
'Cause
it's
a
not
lot of-
verified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many times they're like, "Oh, what this really happened?" Do a quick little Google search. This is fake.
Yeah.
And, but people just don't even bother to go to Google and verify if it's true or not. They just go like, "Oh,
Exactly.
I saw it on IG. I saw it on Twitter. No, that's facts." And then they go and run with that narrative,
Right.
and that could be dangerous in itself.
Yeah, it do be. I'll be like, wait, hold on. I googled it. I was like, no, the guy from Salvador Gigante is still alive. That's right.
But that's a myth. That's a myth. At this point.
No,
Yeah. Have you seen like so you seen how the way that social media aspect works? So did that kind of give you like oh I need to be more involved in the social media
Oh, for
or
sure.
you're already like
You know,
Well,
I
you're
kinda
young.
doing it,
You're the
yeah.
youngest. So
Yeah.
how do you
Yeah.
feel about people you're around with and the way you navigate social media, as opposed to maybe people who have been in it longer but have no social media presence at all? Like, does it conflict a little bit?
It
Like,
does conflict because a lot of my colleagues don't have Twitter, or
Right.
they don't use Twitter. So when I say, "Hey, did you see this tweet?" Like, what are you talking about? So I have to show them, you know.
They almost
But-
brush it off a little bit, right?
Yeah, they'll brush it off. But when I got into office, I said, you know, Seaside has to have the Twitter presence, Facebook presence, Instagram presence. We need to make sure that we're interacting with the community, the younger community, but also the older generation as well, and get kind of like accustomed to the times that we're in right now.
Yeah.
But I knew that when I ran for office, I started my campaign in 2019, November 2019. In February or March, COVID hit. So I was like, I can't be in person with people. I got to get creative here. Twitter. Twitter was my major supporter. I'll give it that. People I didn't even know that didn't know about me from different states were retweeting my tweets about me announcing for office, my policies. And I saw, okay, Trump is pretty smart in that aspect because this is a new game of campaigning. You can be in many places at once just by a single tweet.
yeah
And get your message out clearly to the community in just one single tweet.
Yeah.
So that went off quick.
Yeah.
Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram
TikTok.
Reels. You know, we got creative. We're like, we have to make sure that we're getting the information where it needs to go, which is the community in all languages. And for me, Twitter has been my best friend, I'll say. It helps me get to the community, interact with the community. And it's also a different way of having the concerns from the community being heard. Because
Right.
I'll get a DM. You know, people will slide in my DM saying, "Hey, can you fix my road?" I'll be thinking of something else, but it's like, "Okay, can you slide in my road? Can you fix my road?"
So you caught me at a good time. We're like, all right, put it on the docket.
As a
fixes
matter of
pothole
fact,
right here.
Yeah. So it's instant communication that you get with the community,
That's
and
cool,
they
though.
appreciate it. You know, even
Oh,
the
that's
youth,
really cool.
high schoolers. I had a high schooler message me 2 days ago, and he said, "Hey, can you get rid of this period, this class period?" I'm like, "Well, I'm not MPUSD. I'm not on the school board. I'm on the city council." But you know, educating people like that, I think it's important, and they feel comfortable enough to come to you,
Right.
which I think is pretty dope. Because
That
before,
is
when would you ever
amazing.
go to a politician and say, "Hey, can you
Hey.
fix this for me?" You know?
It would have to be in person.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think it's important to go ahead. I think Twitter's very important because, like, all the young kids are on Twitter. You know what I mean? The only time I ever went to a city council meeting was when I was in high school, and that's because I was forced to. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But now, all it takes is one quick little follow. As long as it's on your feed,
It's gonna
catches
come
your
up.
eye. I mean,
Yeah.
Catches your eye. Yeah.
all you got to do is read a little bit.
Yeah, no, and I also think, the other side of the social media that no one talks about is being verified. That could be a danger too, because people always, want to take advantage, or they get the wrong impression, or things of that sort. So you have to be very careful on what you're doing as well on social media, because people can screenshot things. Not that I'm doing anything bad, but it's just you have to watch what you're saying 100%. Even if it's a typo, they'll screenshot it, they'll send it to you, and you're like, you can't even spell. Or things like that, or
Always looking for something
every
that's
single
wrong.
detail is very looked at, and every single message sent out is reviewed by staff too. And I just have to make sure that I'm on the margin, because
Right.
I am the youngest one and all eyes are on me. So there's that extra pressure, that extra layer of pressure that you have to be 100% quote unquote perfect and not mess up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
That
Yeah,
sounds
that's
very
like the
stressful.
yeah, that's like the misperception of people viewing politicians like they have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like, and they always tend to forget, like, yo, they're a human being too. They like to have fun, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure you like, oh man, I want to take a picture of this drink right now, little boomerang with my friends or whatever, But yeah, so man, like, but you say you balance that. You say you dedicate your Sundays to family. So.
Sundays to family, and even when I go out with friends. When I started I call it an industry because politics is an industry. I sat down with my friends and I said, hey guys, like, I'm going to go into this. Things are going to change 100%, If you take a video, if you take a picture, we got to just review. Even if we're out, even wine tasting,
Yeah.
we can't post it. People might think that I'm an alcoholic, or they might think that I'm just drinking on my time free.
Yeah.
Or if I go to Carmel or Pebble Beach, I'm wasting the public's money. That's what people think.
Yeah,
and
you're at the
it's-
beach. Oh, you're not doing anything.
You're not doing anything. Things of that
Yeah,
sort.
God forbid you
lounging.
water your plant. Oh, he's wasting water.
And I have two jobs, so council is basically my volunteer job, and then I still work in Santa Clara County, so in healthcare. So I don't have a life of my own, and people automatically assume that I'm basically, because I earn what I earn. People will say, "Oh, he's stealing from the city," but people don't know that I donate everything that I earn from the city, so I don't get money from the city. That's why I work.
So you're doing this out of the love and because you care. It's not because you're getting a paycheck. out of it.
Exactly. I care about the community. I don't care about the title. I don't care about the money. I care about making good on what needs to be done, on taking care of the community. And if I want to go out and have a drink in Carmel, let me have a drink. What's so wrong about that?
There's nothing wrong with
Sheesh.
it.
Everybody does it.
Get off my back.
Get off my back.
So it is hard, but if you have a good circle around you, a circle that's understanding, and a family that's understanding, you'll be good. You'll be good, because your life does change completely.
Circling back to family, because I know they expect you to go in the medical field, and then you said, all right, well, I'm going to politics. They were a little skeptical at first, but how do they feel about it now? Are they proud? Are they still a little like, oh, I wish you would have still stuck with the doctor? Like, I mean,
My mom, she'll say something snarky, right? Like,
yeah.
you sure you don't want to be a doctor still?
Ah.
Or, things like that. Or
See you stressed out.
Yeah, she's
like-
like, you sure you don't want to be a doctor? I'm like, nah, I'm good. But I navigate it. I navigate it, and my mom worries a lot. Both my mom and my dad worry a lot all the time.
as as parents,
As parents,
As
you don't get
parents always
sleep.
will,
You
yeah.
travel. Sometimes I travel out of the state, out of the country, and I'm alone sometimes. So just the usual. Like, they'll hit me up and they're like, "Hey, how are you doing? Are you sleeping? Are you eating?" Sometimes I forget to eat.
Does somebody
Yeah.
rob you? Does somebody like
Things of that sort, But they get kind of used to it, and I understand why my mom, worries. Her dad was a politician too. Her dad was running for senator when he passed away.
Oh damn.
Oh,
Okay, so it's a
Oaxaca.
different level.
Yeah,
different. Okay.
level. So, and he died because of the stress, and he was
Wow.
diabetic. So
Wow,
it just, she has bad memories.
Right.
And every time she sees me stressed, she's like, "You need to calm down."
Yeah.
Everything can wait. Everything can wait.
Are you the firstborn, or do you have any siblings in
I
your
have a
family?
younger brother. He's
Okay.
turning 17 in December.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're 9 years apart. I'm 25, but nonetheless, he's like my kid. I drop him off at school. I pick him up from school, go to his football games. That's one thing that I always try to do, right? Be there in the moments that he needs me, because he's there when I need him. And we only got each other.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't got anyone else. So who am I going to rely on when my parents are gone?
Yeah.
I need that support from my brother, and he needs that support from me as well, because
Yeah.
I didn't have that mentor. So when I was born and I was being raised, I didn't have anyone that I could ask questions, or like, how do I get here? How do I apply for college? I didn't navigate to myself. I didn't get to play sports because right after school, I had to rush on down on the public bus to go pick up my brother from preschool,
Right.
cook food for him, bathe them, do his homework. I was his third parent.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
parents
pretty
was always
much.
out working. Yeah.
Parents pulled double shifts at the time.
Yeah.
So it was hard growing up when we had limited resources. And I remember I would always tell him, we're going to make it out here. One way or another, we're all going to make it out here. And, you know, he has a different life now than what I was raised with.
Yeah.
So he's more privileged now. But always keeping him grounded and always making sure, like, hey, your only job is to study, to get a career, to make sure you're doing all the good you can for all the people you can.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you know, what matters is your character, what matters is your integrity, and you need to be a man of honor, a person of honor. That's what I want all Seaside people to be. People that have opportunities, that come up out of neglect, out of minority situations. Because I know that even though I've overcome the struggles that I did when I was younger, I know there's people still living that. And we got to help them out.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes I do sound redundant or like a broken CD because I'm always fighting for the community, fighting for the people that have less. But it's important to, because if I don't, who will?
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't matter. I'm here for the community 100%. I'm here for all Seaside residents, whether you like me or you don't. My job is to
I'm
serve.
here for you.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna help you.
Unfortunately, yeah. You don't have to
As
stay
you're
there for
cussing me
2
out, you're
years.
getting my help.
Yeah, you're gonna get this help. You're gonna get this help. So, speaking of minorities, what was like one of your like intentional goals for minorities out here, or just goals in general, maybe?
Yeah, for
I think-
Seaside, maybe.
Yeah.
For Seaside, I think
Yeah.
educational opportunities, more youth programs when it comes to STEM, technology, and just engineering, because these are
Engineering.
youth programs that aren't available to our communities, right? More partnerships with Facebook, Google, whatever it may be, to have those resources come into my community. Road infrastructure, if you go into the most low-income served communities, some of them don't even have sidewalks in Seaside.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're 2022 and we can't even put them a sidewalk. It does take time, but we're working on that, shining light on that. Thankfully, the council supports me on it. Park cleanups, restructuring our parks, making sure that kids have a safe place to play with. You know, sometimes when I first got there was a lot of needles on the floor. You know, so a lot of drugs, all that stuff. So we had to do a lot of major cleanups. A lot of affordable housing. Affordable housing is something that we really want to make sure that we're pushing in the city, because a lot of our people are being pushed out of our own city because people from the Bay Area are coming in, buying homes, and working from home. So it's easier for them. It's cheaper rent. They're earning Bay Area pay, but they get to work from home.
Yeah.
So who gets pushed over? The Seaside residents that are working 2 to 3
do.
jobs to make sure that they're sustaining a family,
Right.
trying to pay a $3,000 rent. So it's impossible. And then still having 2 kids, 3 kids,
Yeah.
how to put them to college, to high school, it's impossible
Yeah.
to make a living out here. Supporting small businesses. I've always been a huge small business supporter because they're the backbone of our economy. They bring in the revenue. You want to make sure that they're sustainable enough to stay afloat here in Seaside and not be pushed out by chain stores or gentrified.
yeah,
we don't wanna
another
gentrify our
Starbucks,
community.
yeah.
We don't need another Starbucks. We have one in Seaside and we have another one on Canyon Del Rey. So
We have one inside Target.
one inside Target. That's right.
Target.
That's Sand City though, so that doesn't count.
We don't really. Yeah, a lot of people be like, yo, is Sand City Seaside? And I just like, you know what? That's kind of like just like an elbow rest. You know, it's like our elbow
It
rest.
depends
right
on what
there.
street you're at.
It depends,
Exactly.
yeah, it depends what side of it you're on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think those would be my main intentional goals, and to also shine light on the diversity that we have. Right, I'm hosting an event, Oaxaca by the Sea, on Sunday, this upcoming Sunday from 10:30 to 5, and there's no event being done like that in the county. We have senators, congressmen coming out to this event, promoting it, because it's the first of its kind. We're celebrating marginalized communities, indigenous communities from Oaxaca in Seaside, which I think it's pretty astonishing. People don't know this, but Seaside has a population of 43% Latinos. And half of that
How many of that is Oaxaca? I
half,
want to know.
yeah,
Half.
Half of that
Okay.
43%. Yeah, so it's a large population.
Somos de
large
la
chunk.
O.
You know, so- and for the longest, people were like, I don't feel identified with the city. I don't feel like participating in the city. It's important to use your voice, whether you have legal status or you don't. You can still participate civically in council meetings. Speak up. You know, ask me what you want me to say in council. So that's my main intention: making sure that people know their rights here in the city, that they are civically engaged, that they fight for the opportunities that they deserve.
So Oaxaca by the Sea, can you dive more into that? Like, what is that gonna entail? Is that gonna be like a whole block party type of thing, or is it gonna be more of a like? Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, what is it gonna be?
Last year, it was just dance and food and arts and crafts that we did. It was very small, but even then, how small that we had set it up, we attracted up to 3,000 people that came over to Seaside. So people loved it. It was small. It was our first year. Was it the best? No, it wasn't. People didn't notice though, but we saw a lot of flaws in it. And then this year, well, last year I ended up pushing forward a policy in the city of Seaside to make Seaside and Oaxaca a sister city. So what that means is becoming a sister city, you get to work with each other and do cultural exchange, food exchange, technical opportunities for community members, and how to increase the visibility of your communities. Kind of like a trade agreement, but not technically a trade agreement. It's you're exchanging culture, doing student exchanges and all that stuff.
Okay.
So it's a lot of resources that are coming for Seaside for sure within this sister city agreement that we signed. That we're going to go sign on Sunday. So in July, I got sent over as kind of like representing Seaside to sign the memorandum of understanding. It's kind of like a contract that you're gonna get into a contract.
Okay.
So
pre-contract.
It's a
Pre-contract.
pre-contract. So I went to go sign the pre-contract in Oaxaca, and they knew about our Oaxaca by the Sea event that we did last year, and they were like, "Are you guys gonna do one again?" And I was like, "We are." Do we know what we're gonna do? Hell no, we don't. We know
we're
it's gonna
having
happen.
it.
We're having it. And then they're like, well, can we come over to Oaxaca by the Sea this year? So we're like, shit, we got to
Now it got real.
Now it got real. So we got to make sure that it's 100%
official, yeah.
accurate, that we're not embarrassing the community, and making sure that everyone gets the best of the best. So we're having some dancers fly in from Oaxaca to perform that day, which is going to be awesome. We're going to have the Sister City Agreement signing that same day, which will be
Is it going to happen here?
in Seaside,
Okay.
at 1 p.m. So the event's 10:30 to 5, but the signing will be at 1 p.m.
What date is
Sunday, September 18th.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's gonna be
This
a-
Sunday.
And where would this take place at?
We're closing down the whole street, starting from City Hall, all the way to Laguna Grande Park. So we're
Oh,
blocking
okay.
off that road because we're expecting around 6,000 people this year to show up, and we're having
You're
it-
expecting 6,000, might be even more though.
Might be even more.
You never know. You never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So we're having the dance portion in front of City Hall, and then across the street in Laguna Grande, we're going to have food vendors, craft vendors, and resources, because I want to make it a community resource fair, so our
Okay.
communities can know what resources are available to them. And then where the playground structure is at, that's going to be the kids zone, so jumping houses, arts and crafts for them to do. It's going to be a block party basically, and we're going to have the delegation from Mexico come and sign the agreement. So we're going to be busy from Saturday up until Monday, just doing tours, visiting businesses, negotiating, and signing that agreement on Sunday, hopefully.
That's
That'd
dope,
be
man.
great.
That's dope.
That
Right.
resources thing too, because I know a lot of like Hispanics, especially, they're too proud, a
Yeah,
little hard-headed
definitely too
sometimes.
proud.
Like, I don't want to ask for help, but I mean, if it's there, you should go ahead and reach out for it as well.
100%. Sometimes there's resources you don't even know about.
That's what I'm gonna say.
You know,
There's
so-
a lot of stuff that we don't know just because we think like, oh, they're not doing nothing for me. But shining light, like how you're doing, bringing this event, and you're like, oh, Oaxacan, I'm Oaxacan, oh, I'm Hispanic, makes you go there and having those programs available where people can talk to you about. That's freaking amazing. I saw it on Juneteenth. A lot of black caucuses and everything,
Yep.
spreading the word for their, for their little community. So it's tight that you're bringing this.
No, and I think it's amazing, and we're also integrating the African American community into this agreement because Oaxaca has a pretty high percentage of Afro Latinos too. So how do we navigate that and incorporate it into that black and brown solidarity that we're trying to push forward in Seaside? Because for the longest, we've kind of been pitted against each other in the city.
Yeah.
So how
That's
can we
true.
make sure that we're closing that gap and making sure we're working together? Because when we're together, we're stronger. So
Yeah.
people fear that
Facts.
sometimes.
Big facts. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very true.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think I definitely want to hit that up. You know what I mean? Visit there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be an awesome event. It took a year planning the agreement, and then we actually had 2 to 3 months to plan the actual event. So getting the dancers, getting the booths, getting sponsorships, getting the MCs, we got all on board. Now it looks like a pretty good event, and we're super excited. And to see so many people come out and celebrate it from a state level, federal level, and a local level, I think we did a success here. That people are noticing what we have, the potential that we have. And for me, the main important factor here is to bring tourism into the city. So how do we make sure that we become the next Carmel, the next Pebble Beach, but still keeping our people here local? We're a tourist destination. We want people to envy what we have, and we need to use
Yeah.
what we have, the resources, to build more, to have more opportunities for our youth. And that's what my community deserves: a stable home, a beautiful city, and representatives that represent them.
Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes I hear about like, oh yeah, I've been to over there in 831 and stuff like that, and then they'll name like the most popular places, and sometimes I feel like yeah, but you haven't really, you know what I mean, like dig deep into the actual culture and some of the other spots you
Yeah.
may have missed out, like for example like La Tortuga spot, like is one of my favorite spots in
Yeah,
the seaside
yeah.
ever. And
One of
like
our sponsors.
right?
He sponsored our event.
Yeah,
Hey,
nice. Yeah.
shout out.
Yeah, so when people talk about like all of the fancy seafood restaurants, which is cool and all, but man, you gotta come, you know what I mean, where the locals are at and
Yeah.
what the locals really enjoy, because you know what I mean, the locals aren't gonna really recommend some random seafood spot and at the wharf or whatever,
Yeah.
they're gonna like recommend what's down the street, like this little taqueria right here, or you know what I mean, this little deli spot, Mal's Market, you know what I'm saying, like that's, I mean, the real like locals, what they really enjoy.
Little gems, little treasures.
Yeah, little
Yeah.
gems.
Hidden gems in the
Yeah,
city. And,
yeah.
the city has a lot of history. It was the first integrated military base in all of the nation, so that in and of itself speaks volumes. And to see the demographics change over the years, but we still want to preserve that history, but then integrate the new history that's building right now, because what we're living in Seaside is history in the making. It's a whole different demographic, a whole different median age that we have. I think the median age of people living in Seaside is around 35. So it's a pretty young community that we have.
Yeah.
It no longer is an older retirement city. Now it's changing. And how do we integrate it and get to the times? How do we make sure that we're in the present? We're living in the present and pushing the city forward.
That's what's up. So for the people again, one more time, where is this event going to be at? What date and what time?
Yeah, so the event's September 18th from 10:30 to 5 p.m. at Laguna Grande Park or Seaside City Hall. So it'll be that whole structure that's going to be closed down. So people are more than welcome to join us.
Immerse yourself in the culture, man.
Oh yeah.
I don't think we ever seen that street closed down. I've only seen it at the Laguna
Either
Grande
one
Park
side or the other?
Or the other side, yeah.
So I'm gonna be able to completely walk across without worrying about no cars coming
Without
by?
worrying, yeah, we're
Wow.
closing
They're gonna call us goose.
That's great because I never look both ways, bro.
But what's one thing you would ask for the community members? Like something you could say, this could really help us out if we see the presence of you guys, the numbers. What's one thing that you would say could really benefit us, the community, to support you in a way?
I would say respect yourself and use your voice. Come up, show up to city council. Don't be afraid to voice your concerns, because this is your city. This is your future. You have the political power to voice that and shape the narrative for what you want to see for your generation or for future generations. I'm doing what I can in my time right now, but I know there's future generations to come that'll probably still be dealing with the problems that I'm trying to figure out right now. But we need to get together, not be afraid. If we have time to be on TikTok for an hour or two, we have 10 minutes to write an email to someone, to a councilman, to a local congressman. Be involved, because politics is never stagnant. You get one representative or you get another, and always vote, right? I'm up for re-election in 2 years. Am I going to run again? Most likely. But we need people to come out and vote, because if I don't win, you might have another representative that doesn't think like you, and then you'll complain. But did you go to vote? No.
Yeah.
So, use that vote, use the power and privilege you have in the United States. Make sure you're active, volunteer, go to events, and just be there for the community, because this is your city. You navigate and you direct how you want it shaped. And everybody on that dais, one way or another, will voice a concern for a different community or their community, and we need to get together and coalesce. Thankfully, this council, we all think alike, we all have the vision, and we're all moving things as fast as possible as we can. We're repairing streets left and right, but come out and vote. Use your voice, get active, and be politically engaged.
Yeah. Dope. Do you have a?
No, go ahead.
Do you have a goal to like expand, or is it just like this is just like this is the main thing you're focused on, but like future 10, nice.
I think every elected official has that dream, or has you can't say you haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm very focused on what I'm doing. I always say, I'll go wherever the public takes me.
Yeah.
So if the public says, run for this office and we'll support you on it, I'll do it. But I'm 2 years into service here. I can't leave now.
Yeah.
I want to be here for a while, and I want to make sure the community knows that I'm here for the long run, not for the short time. So
Yeah.
If it happens, it happens. I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind, but I'm not worried about that right now.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's dope. That's dope.
What do you think we can do to like have the younger kids focus on more politics? How like in a sense, I don't want to say make it cool for them, but like make it seem more like it's just something that they follow on a regular basis. You know, I'm me personally myself. It's not until I've gotten much older I'll be like, oh, this is very important. But growing up, I just brushed it off a lot. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you think we can go ahead and work on that?
I think being authentic and real with them, you know, as a young elected official in the city, I want them to see me as Alexis and not the politician. Get down to them, get on their level, meet them where they're at, try to interact with them, get inside their head to understand what they're thinking and how you can best take that information onto the dais and consolidate it into a larger plan, but also investing in youth, right? A lot of youth are disenfranchised or feel left behind because their government doesn't invest in them, whether that's through programs, sports, whatever it may be. If the opportunity is there, the child will go. All they want is to make sure that they're being taken care of and that they're being heard and listened to. Also being there regularly, right? I tend to go to Monterey High or high school, Seaside High, and just talk to the students and be real with them, right? This is what you're going to face in the real world. You might be sick of school right now, but trust me, you're going to want to wish you were still in school when you get my age. I don't think anyone,
Right.
you know, likes waking up early in the
Everybody.
morning knowing that you got to work. That's the day, every day. And, you know, you just got to make sure that you inspire the youth, inspire the next generation, aspire to aspire, you know, and be there 100% step of the way, partner with school districts, make sure that you're going with after school programs, talking to them about the dangers of drugs, talking to them about the dangers of tobacco products, talking to them about the dangers in the real world that no one tends to talk about.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's their choice, right? Everybody makes choices in life, whether you take one path or another, that's your choice. But you can't say we didn't try. And that's one thing I'm not going to sit around and say, well, I should have tried.
Yeah.
You know, I'd much rather be comfortable, well, I tried,
Yeah.
but
just
beyond
don't
that,
listen.
it's beyond me, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beyond me.
Well, I think it's really cool that you're so young because you're kind of closing the gap. Like I've always figured that laws will change as new young minds will go into positions of power, even in the government. You know, like that's why this is why I think weed got legalized, just because young minds coming in are taking out older heads that thought this was bad, this is bad, this is bad. New ideas, fresh minds, and it opens up the country or just the politics in general.
Yeah, 100%. I think we're seeing it right now, right, with Roe v. Wade. You know, you have the new generation saying, why should government be involved in my reproductive freedom to decide what I want to do with my body? And then you have the older generation, which is primarily white males, saying, well, I think you shouldn't have an abortion. Well, have you ever had one? You know, and these are people that we're electing into office that are thinking back in history, taking us back to history.
Yeah.
Instead of moving us forward, we're just going back every single year.
Yeah.
And we
That's
need
the
to
thing
make
too.
sure-
Like, it's all old people. Like, they're not gonna really, like, be here
Or
in the
understand.
next decade or so. So I feel like that should like kind of change. Like now, the newer politicians and the Congress people should be people of this age now, like in the 30s, 40s, like people that will see benefits or the repercussions from whatever they decide to choose. You know.
Yeah, 100%. And we're even seeing this right now, right? Because people still aren't electing as many young people as we should. I have a network of young elected officials that we meet every year in California for a conference. I kid you not, I think there's like 16 of us, 17 of us in the whole state of California that are under the age of 25. There's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
You know, we all support each other in that group chat. We keep everybody grounded. We're like, you know, we got to do this, support one another because we only got each other. And policies might differ, but at the end of the day, we can agree to disagree. And that's what works best, you know, working together. Because sometimes you have people that have been in service for years, and they're like, well, this is how it's always been done.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be that way,
Yeah.
you know? So making sure that you're electing people with the same values as you, supporting those youth, because youth don't have the money to run for election. It's costly to run for an election. I think my election costs roughly around $18,000-$19,000 just to run for office.
Out of pocket from
No, fundraising. You have to
Okay.
fundraise. You have to grassroots fundraise, making sure that you're paying for social media posts, for signs, for time out spent. You know, it's a lot of things that go into making sure that you have a okay campaign. And mine was just led by young people. We started with three people, and then by the end of the time, by election day, I had almost 30 volunteers under the age of 25. You know, phone banking, texting for me, sending out mailers, doing social media posts, graphic work, pictures, all that stuff. So it does take time in comparison to some candidates that can raise up to 100,000, 150,000
Yeah.
for an election cycle, and you only have like 18,000. You know,
It's a different
You
game.
can see the gap. You can see the gap. Yeah.
I don't know. Growing up, I always felt like to be in politics, you had to be a certain age. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you got to be like in your 40s or something. I'm not gonna lie. We were watching a video of you earlier, and it was you in the middle, two other people to the left and the right of you. They were older looking, and it kind of just looked off a little bit. It was like, oh wow, like why is he so young? Is he supposed to be here? It almost like drags that question, like, well, how is he qualified? How like it drags a lot of questions, you know?
Yeah.
But I think people just, it's a new age of coming. Like I just don't know. People just don't know.
Yeah, man.
it is something that we don't see, right? So it does look awkward. It's like, the
It's
hell
outside the norm.
Yeah, it's outside the norm. It's outside of what we're used to. Even when I ran for office, it took me like 2 months to decide if I wanted to do it. And I always said, well, don't I need a law degree to run for office? No, you don't. As long as you have the tenacity, the willpower, and you connect with the people, and you understand the people, people will follow you. But you have to stay loyal to the people, and making sure that you don't let the politics or the attention get to your head. Because once that happens, you lose your community and you lose every race that you're going to run for. Always remaining humble.
Yeah.
And it is a tough game because people try to mentally play with you, right? And it's such a, probably going to get in trouble for saying this, it's such a weird industry because you have different people telling you different things at the same time, like trying to get into your head, like putting you against people, you know? And if it's like a subtle say, like, oh, this person said this about you, you're like, well, do I react or do I not react? Is it true? Is it not true?
They're just planting
They're planting
seeds.
little seeds.
Yeah.
All the time you have people just leaving that.
Yeah.
And it does anger you because you're like, why can't people just stay in their own lane? Let me do what I'm doing. I don't care about fighting with people that don't even live in my city. You know, like, well, I'm not going to work with them, so let them talk.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
one thing I always say, if you have something to say to my face, you know, come up to city council and tell it to me, or don't hide.
Yeah.
Be ruthless, be authentic, and I think that's the seaside way that you have to do.
Send them a DM.
You know, and it is hard to navigate, but just being strong-minded, and saying, I'm not going to fall. I'm not going to give you the reaction you want because not every action deserves a reaction.
Yes.
You know, and you need to make sure that you're not messing it up because people are counting on you.
Yeah.
So if people talk, they talk. If they don't, that's fine. But if they talk, I must be doing something right.
Right.
There you go.
Exactly. It's a whole lot of it's the games, man. It's just the game, right?
Yeah.
It's important not to react out of emotion too, as well. That's
Yeah,
It must be
100%.
hard. Yeah.
In the beginning, it was hard, trying not to react, because you get angry at something that someone says, or they try to like say like a little snarky comment on the dais live on TV, and you're just like, oh man.
That's one aspect we don't think about.
Do you have some like hobbies or anything like that you just kind of like, man, this is like need time to let that kind of emotions go, or because you know you don't want to suppress those emotions, just keep them in
100%.
file forever.
when the suit comes off. What?
When the suit comes off, I used to go golfing a lot.
Okay.
Nice.
I used to go golfing with a couple friends. Haven't done that in months. I think since last year, dude.
Top golf.
Like, no, mini golf, bro.
I'd be golfing somewhere where people don't even see me, you know? I'm like, I need to just be on my own.
Yeah.
Golfing, traveling, I love traveling. I don't do it as much as I used to, but love going out of the country. You know,
What's the
just-
favorite place you've been at?
Oof. I think my favorite place would be Colombia to this day.
Okay.
To this day, and I've been
Empanadas.
yeah, you know, the food, the
Yeah.
culture, the clubs. Those are fun. You
Yeah.
know, just touring, and the coffee. I love my coffee.
Okay.
Colombian coffee.
Something about Colombian coffee is different to me. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Getting
still
to-
Yeah,
got
we've
that
heard.
recipe.
We've heard.
Yeah, we-
You're trying to enjoy the moment, you know, and it's.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's super dope because you're used to your own history in Mexico. So when you go
Yeah.
outside and you're like, oh man, I like
different,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
different history. Yeah,
It's similarities, but it's so different in its
So
own
different,
way. Yeah.
and it opens your mind. It makes you more open to new ideas, open to see how the community interacts with one another. Also seeing the disparities that every country faces. You know, I
Yeah.
don't go in plan of being a politician or thinking like a politician when I travel, but you do notice little things here and there. And you're like, oh, I didn't know they did that here. You know, I think one of the best experiences I had was we were having a go-away dinner, and we ended up going to this restaurant in Colombia, and all around I just see middle-aged women, like pretty old, like around 40s, 50s, working. I'm like, well, it's not common, right? That's not common to see older people that are all the employees. You know, you have to have like some young people there.
Oh, I see what you mean.
know,
Okay.
and then I asked the waiter, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, I've never seen a restaurant that's all women. He's like, yeah, this is a restaurant that the owner prioritizes that these are single mothers and women of middle age that need jobs. So she only hires those types of people in this restaurant. So when you see that, it's like, that's dope.
I love that.
That's dope,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
love that.
And you look back at it, and you're like, huh. But it's a new experience that you're exposed to.
It's a little mind opener,
Yeah.
eye opener. Yeah,
And that's how you start creating social programs for women, programs against domestic violence, against drug addiction, things of that sort that we're pushing in the city as well, because these are things that aren't talked about in our
yeah,
community.
that's very true.
I mean, Ricky was just talking about bad seeds being planted, but that's also a good seed being planted as well. Like, all right, well, I'll come back home with this, and I'm like, all right, we can implement this and what we do over here as well.
Exactly, exactly.
That's great.
So
That's dope, man. Well, we got like a few minutes left. Is there anything you want to plug in, shout out? Like, is there a way people can reach you? If
What do
they
you
have
want to talk to
questions
the
for you?
people? You know what I mean?
Yeah, mhm.
you know, I just want to tell the people, like I said, just be engaged. You know, if it makes you angry, then you have to come out and talk about it. You know, talk about it with your politician, talk about it with your elected official. Be vocal, use your power. Don't stay silent, because people want us to stay silent a lot of the times. And that's why a lot of political forces end up dominating, because we don't speak up, or because we don't feel worthy enough to speak up because we're scared. So just use your voice. If anyone has any ideas that they want to bring to the city, or just sit down and have coffee, because I'm always down, or even visit City Hall. People can see me at 440 Harcourt Avenue from Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m.
Okay.
City Hall's nice. I was there for the first time today.
You've never been
Yeah.
to City Hall?
I've never been to City Hall.
how'd you feel? How'd you like it?
I felt lost. What the heck? Can you come hold my hand? I don't know where I'm going.
I think I'm outside.
I think I'm outside.
And he got to see the real action going on today about
Yeah.
Oaxaca by the Sea.
That was tight. Just the planning behind it, and like he said, their team just seemed like so in sync. Like usually you have like one bad seed that kind of, well, I don't know. Everybody just like agreeing and throwing their 2 cents in there, and they're just agreeing and connecting, and yeah, like it's tight.
It was
It's
like the
just dope.
situation room when he walked back there. I was like,
Pretty
well,
much, yeah.
don't get scared. And there was like paper everywhere of ideas and like seating arrangements and everything. And then we had the fire chief there just going line item by line item, explaining to me what was going on. And we had different minds and different ideas. And that's how we brew new ideas, right? By being collaborative to one another and saying, how can we work on this or that? So it was dope for you to be
It was a
there.
good experience, to
Yeah.
be honest. Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't see what goes on behind closed doors.
Yeah, when you think of city council, you think people just sitting around like or in chairs.
Yeah.
That's all you think of. But there's a lot of stuff there. Like they have art from a local youth program that they made, all the endangered youth, that they made all these masks. They're really good. And then the paintings they had in there are amazing, dude. If you guys are listening to this, go check it out. City Hall in Seaside. They have all this dope art up in the walls.
And it's made by youth at risk and also incarcerated youth that want to showcase their art. We have it showcased at our gallery. We're the only city hall that has a built-in museum in it. So all year round, we showcase art from all around Seaside and all the youth.
Is that just in California, the only city hall?
In Monterey County, I would say. I don't know
Okay.
about all California, but I think I'm pretty sure like LA might have something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
or San
yeah.
Francisco, bigger cities. But in Monterey County, that's the only built-in museum that we have. And we do showcases all year round, photography, everything that you can think of, art, sculptures. And fun fact, the same person that designed and built, the same architect that built Chomp, built Seaside City Hall. So if you go and you see a lot of similarities, the same architect. Same architect, yeah.
I'm about to go and analyze now, bro.
Go in there and check it out.
For sure.
But yeah,
Well-
can you let the people know where they can find you, where they can donate, where they can
Well, they can
support
DM you if they got any complaints. You know what I mean?
Complaints, questions, comments.
Yeah, if you have any complaints or just want to sit down and have some coffee or understand more about politics, people can reach me on Instagram at Alexis Arizola or Councilman Arizola. That's the one I'm on all the time. Make sure it has the blue mark, because there's a lot of fake accounts sometimes that pop up about me. And
Oh,
then on
snap.
Twitter, go on Alexis Arizola, and you can find me there. Always available to communicate with the community, and fastest way to respond to me. If you have an email me at agarcia@ci.seaside.ca.us.
Okay, okay. Well, thank you very much, man.
We
Thank
appreciate you
bro.
coming, man.
We
I
appreciate
appreciate
you.
it.
We appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
I learned a lot, man. So I appreciate you for coming through, man.
Thank
Hope
you.
you did. I hope you did.
Yeah.
I'm not that boring all the time. But
No, you good,
It
you
wasn't
good.
boring at all.
No, man, you showed us the politician side, you showed us the human being side, the
Yeah.
son side, the brother side. So it's really dope to get to know you like that. Like
Thank you,
that's really cool. And I hope the listeners, are watching and they get to know you like that as well. And remember that you're a human being at the end of the day.
Thank
know what I
you.
mean?
And that's important, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody knows the success, but they don't know the story behind the success.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to shine light on that because it wasn't all rainbows for me.
No.
There was days where we didn't have food, but we've overcome those struggles, and now it's time to help out where it needs to be helped out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
God bless.
Thank
For
you,
sure,
thank you
for sure.
guys.
For sure. Sure. Till next time,
Till next
people.
time. Sure.
Slide through. Slide through.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.